Coming up next on Arizona Horizons Journalists Roundtable, the governor vetoes SB 1062 after hearing it from local and national business and political leaders. And longtime Congressman Ed Pastor announces his retirement. The Journalists Roundtable is next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizons Journalists Roundtable. I'm Ted Simons. Joining us tonight, Jeremy Duda of the Arizona Capital Times, Mike Sunnix of the Phoenix Business Journal, and Bob Christie of the Associated Press. The saga of Senate Bill 1062 ends with a veto from the governor, and a lot of folks wondering how a bill that made Arizona look so bad to so many ever got to the governor's desk in the first place. Jeremy, first of all, the veto. No surprise there at all, was there?
No, not at all. I mean, I think the day after this passed, there was, some people thought maybe she'd sign it, maybe she'd veto it. I mean, but after, 4 or 5 days of intensive national and really international press coverage, mass protests out on the House lawn, business leaders from all over the country urging her to veto it, the Super Bowl under threat. By then, the writing was pretty much on the wall by the time she actually called everyone up for that press conference.
And when she did, I thought she seemed a bit peeved at having to go through all this.
Well, she was back in D.C. when this kind of hit the fan and everything. And I think there was some miscommunication maybe between the folks who wanted the bill, who supported the bill in the governor's office, whether there was any red lights or stop signs not to send this stuff. Obviously, she was going to take longer in the week to do this, and obviously the publicity was so bad. And when the NFL starts talking about things, the ghost of Ev Meekum starts to creep into the state capitol.
And Bob, she did note that this is the first policy bill you send me. I mean, that was there in the address.
That was there in the address, and she was very clear about it. What are you guys doing down there? I laid out my policies in my State of the State address. I said, give me economic development, give me CPS overhaul, give me a budget. None of it came up to her. Instead, they fast-tracked this bill.
Were you surprised that some folks wonder why she waited so long. Others thought that maybe she would wait till the weekend. But it seems if you're going to veto that thing, veto it now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a point to that, but she was out of town until Tuesday. Wednesday, she finally had her chance to meet with the supporters and opponents of this. I think she wanted to sit down with them, at least talk it out a little, explain what she was thinking. And I thought she might wait till the next day, but that night, once those meetings were over, she got that over with as soon as she could.
Reality versus rhetoric. We had a couple of stories here now regarding what did the bill actually say and what was the perception. I think we can all agree the perception of that bill was horrible, but what did the bill say? Yeah,
the perception was that a gay couple or a religious minority or somebody walks into a restaurant and the religious owner tells them, I don't want to serve you because it goes against my faith. Backers will say it was just meant to mesh with existing federal and state religious liberty laws. It was meant kind of to fill this, to address this New Mexico case where the photographer was fined for not shooting a same-sex marriage. There's differences between our statutes and their statutes. But they were saying it was just kind of meant to update existing law. Obviously, the reality of the image of the bill is what won out.
And really the only place where this would have mattered, and I think a lot of this got lost in the debate, was in Phoenix, Tucson, and Flagstaff, because they're the only cities where sexual orientation is a protected class in terms of discrimination lawsuits, and I guess Tempe as of yesterday as well. But in the rest of the state, nothing would have changed, because like Mike mentioned, under state and federal law, that's not a protected class. You can't sue for discrimination, unlike in New Mexico, where really the one example that anyone could ever present about why they felt like this was needed was where that's the only place where that came from.
Well, Phoenix was the precursor of this because you had the bill last year that Kathy Herod and CAP and the Archdiocese had a problem with, the bathroom bill they called it, where Phoenix expanded the discrimination protections based on gender identity and sexual orientation. So this kind of built out of that, but they had such a 10-ear to the reaction to what they were going to get from this. And the opponents of this cast it with the media and with folks on Facebook as you're a religious minority, you're gay or lesbian, you're going to walk into a dry cleaners in Arizona and they're not going to take your business.
And the sponsor of this bill didn't do themselves any favor because they kept holding up the New Mexico case, which allowed a photography studio to be sued for denying service to a gay couple who wanted them to take pictures. Well, that couldn't happen in Arizona, but they wanted this bill anyway. But as soon as they put the fact that gays were involved and they were trying to block service to gays, I think the world has changed and they now know it. They didn't know it before.
And the supporters of this bill really bristled at the description of it as anti-gay. They said, well, this is to protect all religious liberties and stuff like that, but really struggled to come up with examples that weren't related to gay marriage where this would apply. You started hearing really off-the-wall stuff, like people might sue a Jewish caterer for not serving bacon or stuff like that, which, if you talk to attorneys, they'll tell you that's, completely, ludicrous, and that can't happen to begin with.
But go
I
ahead,
think
please.
the opponents, leveraged Facebook, got the media to go on with their argument, and the supporters of this really didn't have anybody else out there. Had Kathy Herod and then Al Melvin's ill-fated Anderson Cooper interview, but you didn't see the legislative leaders, you didn't see folks on that side, other than Cap, really defend this thing.
Why was that? But why? I mean, did the legislature voted this? This is the second straight year they voted this thing through. Obviously, there were more yays than. Where were all the yays?
They saw the snowball rolling down the hill and they stopped. You have to understand, there was some opposition in the Senate among the Republicans. They put a united front together. You don't break with the caucus. They voted for it, and they immediately said, oh boy, did we make a mistake? And then it got to the House, and 3 Republicans did break and did not vote for it.
Talk about those Republicans now as far as the caucus is concerned. Talk about the caucus. I mean, how fractured is it now after all this?
This is as fractured as it was last year during the Medicaid expansion fight. This is the same group of Republicans who try to portray themselves, and many would say they are, more sensible, more pragmatic, realizing that Arizona is not going to stand for these bills that are really attacks on a great part of the electorate in many people's views.
Are you seeing that Republican caucus fractured as much as they hoped that wouldn't happen because of this?
Potentially. You usually see pretty unified support for these cap bills. They're tremendously influential down there. Now you're starting to hear some people say, well, we're going to look at their bills a little warier now. I don't know that it's quite as bad as with Medicaid, but you saw those 3 Republican senators, Pearson, Worsley, and Driggs, come out and say, well, we regret voting for this. It was we had some reservations. It was a bad idea, and
Are they persona non grata now? Are they getting the cold show? What's going on down there?
I don't know. I mean, this is all, the dust is still kind of
Yes.
settling, so we have yet to see. But it could be.
I think they're absolutely shell-shocked down there. You got Andy Tobin, who's trying to run for Congress, so he's focused on that. This is going to I think this will really hurt him in that district.
Well, I'm still trying to figure out his response to it. It was.
I'm not sure either.
Yes.
So you have him, who's running for Congress, and this probably hurts that. You had people. The image was Al Melvin on Anderson Cooper, not really understanding the questions, and you had Republican legislators running away from a CNN reporter, and you obviously have all the Daily Show segments, basically making fun of them, and none of them really came out to even address it. You have people that voted for something and then came back and told the governor to veto the same bill. They look incompetent and hateful at the same time.
Well, not only that, but I think Driggs was the one who kept saying this has been mischaracterized. Not saying if it were right or wrong. They're saying it's been mischaracterized. They're demonizing the reaction as opposed to saying we made a mistake because we made a mistake.
Right. I think that's a sincerely held belief among many Republicans that this has been mischaracterized by the media, that we are trying to protect the religious people in this state from what they see as a real attack on their rights. And I think those are heartfelt beliefs that they have. And they don't understand what happened. And what happened, as I said a minute ago, is the world has changed. You can't push bills like this. There's 7 or 8 of them around the country, and not one of them is going to move.
Yeah, the postmortem, if you listen to Rush Limbaugh, some of the folks on the right, they're upset with the media, what they see as the mischaracterization of this. But there was nobody that really stepped forward besides Kathy at CAP. There was no legislative leaders that came out and said, this is what we think the bill was, this is what we think to address it. There was really a vacuum there.
Talk about now how this would impact the primaries that are coming up, the general coming up. I mean, is this something that's gone now in a couple of months and no one thinks about it, or has the earth shifted a little bit?
Well, in any competitive race, I'm sure the Democrats will use that as kind of a bludgeon against their Republican opponents. I mean, you see Ann Kirkpatrick doing that to Andy Tobin already, should he win that primary. In Republican primaries, it's a little harder to say. We saw one poll, just a kind of quick and dirty auto dial poll, but it showed the majority of Republican primary respondents saying they wanted the governor to veto it. And even today we saw John Kavanaugh, a House rep from North Scottsdale or from Fountain Hills, who's running for the Senate. He got an opponent in his primary today, and that opponent was hitting him over the 1062 vote in his announcement.
And nationally, the Republican Party is going, what are you guys doing? You're off our talking points. We cannot attack this segment of the population if we want their support in November. Stop it. And the message was loud and clear. John McCain, Jeff Flake, Mitt Romney, said no, veto, veto, veto.
Are there other current bills down there of similar consequence that could make for a similar reaction?
Well, you have a same-sex marriage one that would give people that officiate weddings, religious folks, other folks, the ability to get an out on that. I don't know if that'll have the same kind of firestorm as this. The way this was characterized was a certain person walks into a store or a bar or a restaurant and they're not served because of that. That goes back to Jim Crow and those types of images. If you're talking about a religious ceremony, I don't know if that'll stir up the same kind of controversy.
Except that bill does a lot more than just say a pastor doesn't have to officiate, which is in the First Amendment now. There's no reason for the bill. It also extends it to anyone who officiates weddings, which means judges,
yes.
justices of the peace, county clerks at the county courthouse can say, nope, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, and the sponsor of that bill, Representative Steve Montenegro, has been trying to portray this all session as well. It's for the clergy, but obviously, like you mentioned, Bob, that goes much further. And remember, all these folks who organized these 500-person protests at a moment's notice, they're all still there and they're all still watching this too. And I think it'll be interesting to see if the House actually continues to move this forward, and the House and the Senate, and and if it goes to the governor, you might see. I don't know if it would be the same intensity, but it's going to put the spotlight nationally right back on Arizona.
Let's get used to saying it. HB 2481. It doesn't quite have the same ring to it, but could this be the next 1062?
I don't think it's going to have the same momentum. I think they're going to lay low on these types of bills, especially after the governor's admonition about they have nothing on CPS, they have nothing on these other things, and here's what they send me. They send it to me when I'm in D.C. and put the state in this bad image. So I think they're going to maybe step back from this a little bit.
Impact of this on other activity at the Capitol, both now and in the future. What are you seeing? Have things slowed? Are they a little sideways here?
Well, the House had a 6 or 7 hour debate session yesterday where they ran through 20 or 30 or 40 bills. I lost count. And so the legislature's doing its work. This clearly was a distraction for the whole week. They've got to regroup. They're going to do half of that calendar on Monday in the House that they didn't quite get to. Now they're at the point where they're starting to send bills back to the other chamber that have started in one chamber, but there are a couple of other two-track bills that we may have to watch for.
Impact of the relationship now between the governor and the legislature. Has that changed because of this?
It could. I mean, she clearly wasn't too happy with them for saying that. We'd been hearing from Republican lawmakers that she was very irritated. This all happened, especially while she was in Washington. They intentionally fast-tracked this bill through, knowing, it was well known that she was going to be out of the state later in that week. So I think they might be a little bit more cautious now in terms of what they send over there.
Is she going to be a little more vocal, or at least a little more clear in the fact that don't do this to me until we get some better policy bills coming down the pipeline?
It could be. She's done that the last 2 years when the legislature wasn't sending her, a budget or Medicaid expansion or whatever it is she wanted to see, threatening to veto anything they send her until that. We actually saw 5 vetoes last year, including the precursor bill to SB 1062. Who knows? We'll have to see if it actually gets that far this year. But she's made her priorities clear now.
It'll be interesting to see if this helps her get CPS through. If some of this conservative skepticism dies down because of this, or if the people at the legislature really took it hard this time. They really looked bad. They're really getting nailed. And she was part of that. She admonished them in front of everybody. Is there payback in this? This is a two-way street.
Right.
What goes around comes around. So it'll be interesting to see how this works out that way.
Winners and losers in this whole thing. Obviously, we know that the legislature was, as in toto, were losers, especially Republicans. Obviously, Republicans and not Democrats. But in total, who else? Winners and losers.
It's a mixed bag. Arizona's the big loser. Obviously, we have a black eye in the eyes of the nation once again, and it went on for so many days that it's going to take a while to get over that. In the legislature, like Mike said, Andy Tobin, who's running for Congress, may have to deal with this. Eddie Farnsworth, who might have aspirations to be House Speaker next year when Andy leaves, maybe he takes a hit off it. I think the conservative wing of the Republican Party, they're going to take a hit all the way across.
Can you count Democrats as winners? This almost seemed like it was a Republican inter-party squabble here.
Oh, sure. Even for the Republicans who were opposed to it or who eventually switched sides. It's kind of, for a lot of the public, it might be guilt by association. We had some sources telling us that one of the big winners might be Fred Duvall, the presumptive Democratic nominee for governor. Because even though almost all of the Republican candidates for governor came out against this, voters might still associate this as a Republican issue. And Fred Duvall was, I mean, of course, the most vocal gubernatorial candidate against it.
Almost, but not all Republican candidates for governor came out against this. Al Melvin,
Yeah, Al
who
Melvin.
obviously has been made a name for himself with the CNN Anderson Cooper interview. Andrew Thomas, I believe, I don't remember him coming out against this, but I don't remember him coming out for this.
He was surprisingly quiet, and Andrew's been a little more used to dealing with the media than Al, and you think he might have taken this advantage of this, and he didn't. I think Scott Smith was kind of the first and the most vocal on this, so I think he may be a winner, at least with the business community and with some of the moderates. I agree that statewide Democrats, Fred Duvall, other
yes.
folks running, will get a bump from this, because I think a lot of voters, they won't look at the legislative races because they're not sure who everybody is, but any frustrations they have with Republican politics in the state, they may vote that in the AG's race, in the governor's race.
And Doug Ducey, who is one of the front runners for the Republican gubernatorial primary, stumbled right out of the gate. I mean, when everybody else on Friday night was sending out statements saying, we don't support this, we want the governor to veto it, he sent out one, or his people sent out one saying, I've been on the road campaigning, I haven't read the bill, I don't have a position. And then 24 hours later, finally.
And remember who is endorsing Doug Ducey, who's part of his policy advisory team, is Kathy Herod from CAP.
Tell us who Kathy Herod is. Why is and this, obviously, it's her baby. This was her baby, 1062. Why is she so powerful? Does she, is it money? Is it info? What's going on with her?
Well, it depends on who you ask. They're a 501c3 nonprofit, which means the Center for Arizona Policy cannot actually get involved in candidate campaigns. They don't give money to candidates. They don't run independent expenditures. They send out a voter guide every year, basically showing all lawmakers and candidates and how they voted on key Center for Arizona Policy issues, and that goes out to a lot of people. But you talk to a lot of Republicans down to the Capitol, and they'll say that they have so much power just because people believe in their issues. They share our values, their constituents do, and I think after a while, they've earned such a reputation for being kind of invincible down there. I think they've kind of become self-perpetuating to the point where, some people may be kind of afraid to break ranks there, and that, maybe that changes a little now.
She's willing to take chances. She took it on the chin this time. She lost, but she's willing to take chances. She's aggressive, and she fills a void where other people don't want to step in. You saw the LDS Church didn't take a stance on this. Conservative Catholics, the Catholic Conference did, but the Archdiocese stays away from this. So these issues that galvanize around the kind of the social right, CAP has kind of stepped in and represents kind of a broader coalition. So she's willing to lead these things. Sometimes she's a big winner. Obviously, this time she lost.
And people are scared to cross her. I mean, there's no doubt that the Republicans are scared to cross her.
Why are they afraid to cross her?
If you're a Republican in the state of Arizona and you get painted as anti-religion or pro-gay or pro-abortion in any fashion, you have problems. And I think it's really clear that Kathy has the power to do that.
So does she still have the power to do that after this?
Probably still a lot of power, but it might be a little diminished. Like I mentioned earlier, we've heard some Republican lawmakers saying they're going to, be a little warier of her bills now, maybe read them a little closer now, just because they don't want to see, another flare-up like we saw in this past week.
And this past week, before all this really came to a head here, we had this the Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court, saying we're not going to mess with this. Another bill from CAP that got through the legislature and the governor. This is the idea of funding abortion providers, even if you're not saying that they are using those funds for abortion.
Yeah, it was
correct?
able to restrict Medicaid money going to Planned Parenthood, anybody else that provides abortion, even if they say they're using the money for something else. Planned Parenthood provides screenings and those types of things, education campaigns. Planned Parenthood is, on the X list, obviously, for the pro-life crowd. You see in this bill in some other states, so Arizona, Florida, this one up, they've lost on this one. But I still think you'll see some of the abortion bills come up. You may see less of the religious liberty, maybe less of the gay rights thing because kind of the shift in the country. But I think abortion really delineates where people land up in a lot of parties, and a lot of people are Republicans because of that issue. So I still think they still have some power on that. Maybe some of these other issues, much like the 1062, you'll see a reticence on.
But you also have to remember this is a second abortion bill that the Supreme Court turned away this session. In December, it was the 28-week abortion ban, which clearly went against Supreme Court precedent, which is 24 weeks. And it passed the legislature anyway, and the state has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars defending it, and they've lost. And it's a CAP bill.
Ed Pastor announces his retirement after 23 years in succeeded Mo Udall back in 1991. He's been a steady presence there, very good for transportation, bringing federal dollars in. Such a legacy, and yet I thought I could hear the screams and the howls from my office of folks who are looking to succeed Ed Pastor. This is going to be quite an effort, isn't it?
It could be. I mean, we've heard, there must have been 24 names floated yesterday as people who, possible candidates to run for that seat. Only 3 so far have really made it definitive. You have Mary Rose Wilcox, the longtime county supervisor who actually replaced Ed Pastor when he won the congressional seat. You have House Representative Ruben Gallego. You have Senator Steve Gallardo. But you've heard a ton of other names. Councilman Danny Valenzuela from the Phoenix City Council. Councilwoman Laura Pastor, who was Ed's daughter, said she's considering it as well. Even Kirsten Sinema, we're hearing rumors that she could switch from her district and go to this one. But if she doesn't, it's going to be looking to be an extremely crowded primary.
That doesn't make much sense. Catherine Miranda, another name. Chad Campbell. Phil Gordon, I mean, you maybe? I mean, everyone and their brother is thinking about it.
Our buddy Begay, Carlisle Begay.
Carlisle Begay could change addresses. Yeah. Who knows?
I think Ruben Gallego has a resume. He was a Iraq War veteran Marine. Obviously, it's a 2/3 Hispanic district, so you'll see probably a Hispanic candidate come out of there. I think he's kind of an early favorite for a lot of folks, but it could be so crowded. Obviously, if Laura Pastor gets in there, she can run the same signs as her father. I think they just have his last name on there. That would be a big advantage, and name ID in a big crowded Democratic primary, could be it. So she's the one people were waiting on to see what happens. Sinema's office has not shot this down. People have asked her office. The idea is, and the Republicans are floating this. The idea is that she's in this really tough district. Sal DiCiccio sitting there could run against her anytime, or she goes and runs in an easier Democratic district. I don't know if she can win the primary though.
That's why that one doesn't make much sense to me. But as far as the crowd that has been mentioned so far, the Gallardo, Gallego, Miranda, Campbell, Gordon, I mean, again, everyone and their sister, this could be pretty nasty stuff.
Well, it could be pretty nasty. I think, it depends on who gets the money, and there's going to be a lot of money spent in this race. The reason all these people are in this race is because this is a seat for life if you get it, unless we have some weird redistricting happen and it turns into a moderate seat. But, Ed Pastor has been there 23 years. He's never had a serious challenge. He has all the money he needs to fend off any. I mean, I had to track down last year the Republican challenger. I literally could not find him, and the Republican Party didn't have contact information for him.
Does the Republican Party throw anyone up in this particular race?
They may not. It probably doesn't matter. Like you mentioned, 2/3 district, Voting Rights Act protected, Democratic seat for life. I think one other interesting thing to watch with this is the domino effect you're going to see from all these potential candidates. Gallardo and Gallego are both most likely going to resign from the legislature. Mary Rose Wilcox has to resign from the Board of Supervisors because of resigned to run. Any Phoenix City Council members, Valenzuela and Laura Pastor, they would have to resign. So there could be, and what we're hearing is that a lot of people, instead of looking for Ed Pastor's seat, might be eyeing Mary Rose's seat on the Board of Supervisors, which she'd held for more than 2 decades now, too.
Indeed, it does leave a lot of open seats, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's a domino effect, and you have all kinds of people looking to run and then looking to run again after that. Phil Gordon could be a wild card because he has good name ID. If you have a slate of Hispanic candidates all in there, dividing up the Hispanic vote, does a non-Hispanic, Anglo or African-American step in there and be a formidable person in this race?
And it sounds like Ed Pastor doesn't sound like he's all that ready to endorse anyone and may not endorse anyone at all.
I think it'd be a good call for him not to. He knows that this is a wide open Democratic field. He's not going to, he might help someone a little bit, but he's going to hurt a lot of feelings, and he has a great reputation in the district, and why risk that and when you're retiring?
Okay, real quickly, we did not get the chance to talk about the repeal of the election laws that apparently now will not be on the ballot because it was repealed and the governor signed that without comment. So, the first two, not the first two, but two of the bigger things she's done so far is fix. Both are fixing mistakes.
Yeah, it makes, the cynical view of politics, it kind of increases that because they're taking this off to avoid voters repealing it on their own and then them not being able to maybe mess around with it again.
Yeah.
And so anyone that has a lot of cynicism towards politics can look at these two instances, the two biggest ones right now. And we have a CPS system that's been broke, really egregious stuff, and they haven't addressed that.
All right, we'll stop it right there, gentlemen. Great discussion. Good to have you all here. Monday on Arizona Horizon, the North American Free Trade Agreement celebrates 20 years, and we'll see how a local charity is using music to help with the healing process. That's Monday on Arizona Horizon. Tuesday, learn about a plan for water reuse in central Arizona. Wednesday, a report on the state of women in Arizona. Thursday, we'll hear about problems caused by patent trolls. And Friday, it's another edition of the Journalists Roundtable. That's it for now. I'm Ted Simons. You have a great weekend.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.